Hello viewers, here's a mindful man reading another chapter of The Clinic by Paul G. Brett. I hope I read this better than read this well. What I want to ask you, Bishop, I said, is this. What ought to be our attitude towards women? Are they property of the head of the household, as in the days of the Book of Common Prayer? And do they owe obedience to a male head? Surely the phrase, "Who giveth this woman to be married to this man?" doesn't mean anything unless she was his to give in the first place. Or are they, and children too for that matter, gifts from God, which we receive with joy and are not owned by anyone? This is the basic division of view, isn't it? Things have indeed moved on a lot since 1662, he said with a smile. You're quite right. I am myself of the view that we do best to regard everyone, women and children alike, as gifts. They are given to us to enrich our lives, to be equal parts of the community with us, and we should be thankful for them. I don't feel very thankful for some of the members of our congregation. That girl this morning, for example, I said. Will we have some of this? I quickly added, remembering he'd come from the north, and indicating a baking tray with the Yorkshire pudding curling up round the edges. Jane makes it in the true Yorkshire fashion. Thank you, I will, and I do see your point, he went on in a measured tone, but we need to take an overview and not be seduced by awkward details. See the wood and not just the trees. In my judgment, unless we regard human life as a sacred trust granted to us by God, there is no end to the horrors that may ensue. If we trust people into things to be manipulated, to be used for ulterior purposes, and then cast aside, we are on the edge of another Holocaust. But Bishop, I broke in, no one wants that. What about a young girl who has been raped? Is that child a sacred trust from God? Must she have it, or a woman with too many children? Has she got to have yet another just because her husband came home drunk one night? I could see Jane getting anxious that I was going too far, but I forged on. Or a girl like young Amanda Fairlop, who can't have children, however hard she tries, and whose relationship is on the rocks as a result. Is it immoral to seek or help her by the use of human technical skill, for instance, in the laboratory? I do understand the point you're making, Lee, he said again, putting another slice of roast beef into his mouth and chewing it ceremoniously. But hard cases make bad law. Life is essentially mysterious. Even our most intimate relationships are full of mystery. This is the source of their variety and potential. We must not dissipate this by turning it into a product to be manipulated. We must not jeopardize the essential dignity of the person. Medical responses to tragic exceptions must not be allowed to become the norm. But Rupert, I had forgotten myself in my enthusiasm. Laws are no good if they don't deal with reality. Amanda wants a child. She can't have one. Where's the dignity in that? She has a right to reproduce. Doctors have got the techniques to help her do it successfully. Isn't it immoral? Yes, immoral to deny her access to them when they're available. Oh, I'm sorry. Do have some more wine. I've forgotten my duty. It's a Chilean Cabernet Sauvignon. Amazing how much they've come on. No, I don't think I will, he said, but thank you all the same. What do you think, dear? What's the woman's view? I saw Jane take a deep breath. It's all very well for you men to talk about it all as if it were a game of chess. Do this, take that piece, make that move. We're talking about human beings with feelings, with souls. And it's the human soul we have to safeguard. I know, Bishop, but the soul is all bound up with the body. A woman doesn't just think of a child as a thing. It's part of her. Having and not having children are both the same, if you see what I mean. And what about women's souls then? We've got a right to be and to become and to choose, haven't we? I knew Jane had some vigorous views, but I was impressed with her contribution to our debate. I waited to see what he would make of it. The rights of the mother over those of the child. It can be so tragic when they come into conflict. and there is sometimes no escaping it. Life is not easy. Our Lord never said it would be. But he was a man. Men don't understand these things, said Jane, bordering on the blasphemous, I felt. But the bishop let it pass. Think of the human misery caused by these things, I said. There's so much pain that can be alleviated or prevented in the first place by medical processes. I do understand that view, he said a third time, but there are other pressing problems for attention in this bitter, hungry world. I sensed that he was beginning to withdraw from our engagement. The central point is this, he went on. We mustn't lose the mystery of life through some blind obsession with trying to master it. Mystery is not mastery, that's the key. When he had gone, I had taken a hurried, even song. We sat down once more to talk about the day's events. What do you mean, dear, when you said birth and death were all the same? I didn't quite understand that point. I didn't say that. I said having and not having children are both the same. But what do you mean? Well, it's like this. It's not a thing. It's not a thing in there or not in there. I've a life, and it's a life depending on me. You have to ask me and go by that. You can't just lay down rules for every situation. Abortion wrong, contraception right, test tube babies wrong, and so on. It all depends. On what, my dear? On how I feel, how as women feel. I knew then that she was reliving our own experience, some 20 years earlier, and her sadness that Sam was our only child. Hey-ho, I think we could do with some more to drink, I said, trying to lighten things a bit and going to the cupboard. Now there's a mystery, whiskey. Who knows what makes it so powerful, and each malt different from its neighbours. The distilleries cherish their properties all right, like a drop of mystery. Oh, she giggled, having banished other thoughts. You are so masterful when you've got a bottle in your hand. Come on then, I said, bring it with you. I'm so wound up I need a bit of winding down. We swallowed our drinks and I went up the stairs. I went to the bottom drawer in our bedroom chest. Jane was already taking off her clothes. Ho there, comely maiden, whither away, I said. Oh, good sir, prithee do not use me amiss. If thou art amiss, I am a master, and master thee I will, if I do not act amiss. Kind sir, you look so wicked with your black hair and pointed nose. What meaneth that sinister glint in thine eye? Thou dost please me mightily, good serving wench. No, kind sir, do not tie me to the rails of this bed. How could I serve thee if I am so encumbered? Thou shalt not serve me, young lass, I shall serve thee, but not before I have secured thee. I will not have thee escape in the midst of all our pleasure. She giggled again, and I leapt upon her in a spirited way that could only have come from a day of parochial tension and theological dispute. Hope you enjoyed this chapter of Paul G. Brett's The Clinic on Amazon KDP.